Hello, friends. We are here to review the latest episode of Married to Medicine. I'm going to say at the outset, these ladies are starting to piss me off. For real. First, we get this group scene. It's Toya, Heavenly, Simone, and Jackie. At the outset, that's interesting. Like, what's going on here? So they're having a conversation. Toya wants to go to Napa because she's, doing this new wine business venture. So Napa wine, boom, whatever. And it's going to be a group trip. And the discussion, of course, is who Quad, the person that they're trying to kick off the show, but they can only talk about her. I'm digressing. So they're talking about Quad. Toya obviously does not want to invite Quad on the trip. Let's just go ahead and break the fourth wall and have a real conversation because Toya wants to ice Quad out of the show. The thing is, though, in this conversation, it feels like Jackie, Simone, and Heavenly are participating in that antic, whereas you wouldn't typically think that necessarily. Jackie more so isn't really saying much of anything. I get the impression that Jackie don't too much care for Quad anyway. So the shade there is that Jackie ain't gonna say much at all. Fine, but I clock your T. Simone does ask a good question to Toya though, like, so you and Quad have had good moments, so what makes y'all keep falling out? And that's an excellent question that I don't think that we have the answer to date. We do. I sat and I listened and I was watching the flashbacks, but the only flashbacks we got were from last season. And we keep talking about this 10-year history that this group, the core of the group, has, and this 10-year history that they have with Quad. You're talking about these big, huge issues that you have with Quad, allegedly, and that's why you don't want to be around her. But the only reference that we can get is stuff from last year. And as I recall it, that stuff all only happened because you were talking mess about Quad first and saying that she lived in a BS apartment, something that you said and laughed off, but Quad is retaliating and she's responding and she's just better at it than you, so now you're upset. So we've already talked about this, but I'm very tired of Toya's narrative of Quad was so mean and nasty to me, as if Toya didn't actively participate in the downfall of that relationship. Honestly, in my opinion, Toya and Quad have more in common than anything. So Toya is full of it. And the proof is in how Toya even explains what the issue is. She says the kiki that they have, she and Quad, is always at Toya's expense. And so Toya has said that about everybody in the group. There was a whole portion of a season where she was talking about that. It may have been last season. And so for her to put it off like it's just Quad, even if it was just Quad, to say she kikis at my expense, it's a kiki. We know the tone of this show. Y'all kiki down, y'all kiki hard, y'all talk a lot of mess, but it's like we wake up, we dust our shoulders off, we put our uniforms and our name tags on, and we go to work. That's how y'all like to explain the show, right? Like, y'all roll with the punches, y'all are a tough show, y'all say what it is to be said. And again, I already clocked that T, because Quad's better at it than you, your feelings are hurt. And I just feel like that's weird. And my issue started with this episode more so when Heavenly joined in and she's like, yeah, well, Quad doesn't talk to anybody when we're not filming. Like, she doesn't talk to any of these ladies like face to face. And for me, I just feel like there would be more tea in what Heavenly was saying if we hadn't heard this whole thing for about 3 seasons now. Like, ever since Quad was on Sister Circle, the conversation was, Quad, we haven't heard from you. Where have you been? The famous scene where Simone kicks up those cheap, tacky shoes that she had on with the dollar bills in the clear heel. We've seen it. We've heard it. Quad, you haven't been around. Quad explains, I do not feel supported in this group. This is supposed to be a sisterhood. This don't feel like a sisterhood. Y'all ain't my girls. We're not friends like that. But at the end of the day, Quad shows up for work. Each and every season, I feel as though we need Quad. Last season, Quad started late in that season as well. And it got substantially better when she got there. And this ain't about Quad, because I love Dr. Heavenly. I feel like she makes me laugh more than anything. I love watching Dr. Heavenly. And it is a really good show. But it is better with Quad. And this whole thing starts where Toya is like, because Toya can never ride along. Like, Toya can never just be like on her own and handle her own. She has to have a conclusion of a thing. And so she's telling Heavenly and Jackie and Simone, like, well, basically, I'm going to need y'all to stick by me and, like, hold Quad accountable. Like, it's going to have to take this. And they start calling themselves the Core Four, which really, like, put a pain in my side. That was just the corniest, most disgusting thing that I thought I had started watching The Real Housewives. Like, I'm like, oh, y'all getting, like, weird and corny like that? Like, it's getting nasty in production over here like that? Y'all about to ruin this show because y'all pride yourselves again on being such a business, such a show. Y'all show up for work. Heavenly talks about this all the time. And it's great to know, like, yeah, we kiki, we cackle, we have issues, we get in our feelings, but at the end of the day, we agree we're here to work. Quad always comes to work. Like, y'all are literally not recognizing. Look in the mirror and say what you're saying. Come to work. Now y'all are in y'all feelings because Quad don't want to be friends with y'all. None of y'all are real friends. Y'all work together. Y'all have relationships. I'll have to agree with that, but y'all are not besties. So I don't understand the obligation for Quad to be coming up to y'all and calling y'all. Like, the issue is y'all want Quad to be y'all friend. Y'all want Quad to be calling y'all to go on these vacations to Africa that y'all read her on, and y'all want to hang out with her and the housewives that y'all be reading her about. That's the real tea. Like, y'all want those relationships with her. That's what it is. Don't act like y'all have these huge, substantial relationships and Quad has not tapped in. We're tired of that conversation. None of y'all have that. I'm sure y'all kiki and y'all cackle on the side, but there's nothing substantive there. So don't be upset with Quad because she's not kissing ass and trying to be a part of this group. There's no group. And when y'all are talking about the Core Four and she needs to be held accountable, that feels like to me y'all are trying to gatekeep some type of false narrative of a friend group dynamic from Quad as if she's done something wrong and she can't sit at that table. She's been working just as hard as y'all. Again, the seasons are better when Quad is there. She always shows up to work. She's always a main storyline because y'all are always trying to beef with her. So what are y'all like? It's not like she's not working. It's not like off camera. It's like, okay, she don't want to be our friend, but when she shows up, she doesn't participate. She participates. She's a star player. The Core 4 thing really turned me the hell off, and I was very disappointed by that because Simone's not my fave. Jackie, I always am kind of like, with, because I think she's very funny acting and not straightforward. But I love Heavenly, and I just don't think this was a good look on her. I thought the scene where, Heavenly's with Allura and Allura, like, reveals that she's gonna go to FAMU because she got accepted. I thought that was super cute. And I think it's even cuter because that's where Heavenly went to college. So it was nice to see that play out and quite honestly come to an end because I was kind of tired of talking about it. What was pretty ass backwards for me was seeing, because I was kind of invested in this whole Simone storyline of like her and Cecil having different parenting styles and deciding what they want to do with the boys. But then now, and there's some sense in this, but now they're saying they're getting an investment property. It's something they've always wanted to do, but they're going to allow the boys to live there. And she feels like that's a better situation than paying rent for them. No, because now you're purchasing a property, so I'm sure that's substantially more money than rent. And then also, you're not going to be collecting any rent from them while they're living there. She did have a stipulation where she said the oldest one, he could live there for 1 year rent free, the youngest 2 years rent free, and then they would get kicked out. Great, that's the only good point that I heard. But just hearing like, oh, we're getting an investment property, we're gonna allow the boys to live there just like that, which is great. Those are your kids. I do feel like you should do that. But if your narrative is you don't want to give them handouts and they're privileged, but then you turn around and you do that, I feel like at that point, I feel like you're fully involved in the issue. But, good for them. Scenes I don't necessarily ever really understand is when, I feel like when I see a couple filming, we should be talking about your personal story. We should be talking about something that has to do with your relationship. We should be talking about something that matters. And I do understand that the whole Quad thing is relative to what happened with Toya and Eugene. Because not only was Quad in reaction to Toya, the beef that they had, discussing things, shading Toya, she was shading Toya's marriage. So it does bring Eugene in. But I personally don't want to watch a scene where it's Toya and Eugene is giving warnings about Quad. Again, is it merited in some way? Yes. Is it related in some way? Yes. But I don't feel like that's where I would have been going with my filming. That's not necessarily what I want to do with my husband. But Eugene is, and for me, now the warnings, I don't feel like were fully thought out. Because even Eugene is just like, I'm not comfortable, and does a whole confessional about it. I'm not comfortable with her being around Quad and going on a trip with Quad because of how Quad, and listen to the language. I always say that. Listen to what he says. Because he calls her a powder keg. You know, obviously Toya's like, what's a powder keg? And he explains Quad is like a powder keg because, you know, you give her like, you know, one insult and she blows up. So you're highlighting to me that you just don't like the way that Quad reacts, right? Like, you're acknowledging that y'all have insulted her, but the way that she reacts is the issue. Okay. Like, my notes literally says, so you insult her and then she blows up. Well, like, what are you expecting? Like, I'm confused. Like, I feel like Toya and Quad are similar in the way that they're both very sensitive. And I've seen it on the show from both of them. The group of Kiki, and they'll cackle at both of their expenses. They'll both take it sensitively, but they have two different ways of coping. Toya kind of retreats within the group, right? Like, Toya is reaching out for allies and like, care about me. Like, you guys need to pay attention to the fact that I'm sensitive and blah, blah, blah. Quad, on the other hand, she retreats outside of the group. She goes and does other things. But obviously when it's time to work, she has to come to the group. And they're like, well, Quad, why haven't you been around? As if they don't know. So then Quad has to ask and say, well, I wanted more support. She's not taking the Toya route where it's like, I don't feel like y'all supported you. Please supported me. Please support me. Please support me. And look, there's power in both, in my opinion. I think it's good that Toya is able to say, I don't feel good about what happened. Can y'all please support me? Even though I think Toya overly plays the victim. But then I also think, so the issue there is that she overly plays the victim. And then similarly, I don't think it's an issue that people remove themselves from situations that they don't feel like serve them. Quad doesn't feel like this situation serves her. Time and time again, we keep having the same conversation. She's very clear about why she's not around. So she continues to retreat outside of the group. I can understand that. But the issue is, again, she's very quick to play the victim as well. So they both have the same issue, but their coping mechanisms make sense for who they are respectively. But they're doing the same thing. I just truly don't, like, I say all that to say, I just truly don't understand why Toya feels like she deserves an apology for Quad, and from Quad, and for what? Because they both came at each other last season. Quad just did a little bit better. And so, and then honestly, a lot of the things that Quad was saying last season about Toya, everybody was saying. Similarly, on the other side, the same things that Toya was saying about Quad last season, everybody was saying. Quad got upset with everybody. Toya got upset with Quad. They are in California and they're on their bus headed to the hotel, and Sweet Tea is telling everybody how, you know, this is her first time in California, and they're like, oh great, we want to celebrate this with you, blah blah blah. And Heavenly's like, you know, I also wanted to, you know, celebrate your marriage or whatever. They get back into that conversation, and Sweet Tea just, you know, back on the same topic, which I just feel like we have beat to death. Like, I think it's done. I hope it's over with after this point. But she's just like, you know, you talk negatively about me. They get very fired up. It's very like this and this, and they're sitting right next to each other. Heavenly is throwing out insults like, your man's old, you're in your 30s. Like, I just don't think that that's going to pan out well. I will say I like that Toya was able to lean in. Of course, she was able to lean in for Sweet Tea because that's her ally. But she was able to lean in and say, just own something, Heavenly. Like, just own something and be able to push this forward. Great. She owns her part in it, essentially. Like, she basically just says, if that affected you, then I'm going to apologize for it. But I think she thoroughly meant what she said, and she's going to be 10 toes down. And girl, I said it, I meant it. It is what it is, but it affected you. So I'm going to apologize for that. And Sweet Tea is just like, okay, great, but I'm also not going to open up to you no mo. And I think that makes sense. And Heavenly was like, good. So please, let's move on. Toya is, passing out the rooms. A couple of ladies are sharing, I guess, which I thought was interesting. But she's talking to Simone, and she says, she didn't get Quad a room because she wasn't sure that Quad was coming. At this point, I like seeing, sometimes it feels like Simone's in the mess and then she's not. So at this point, I like seeing Simone say, you can't do that. You have to get the girl a room. And then obviously Toya is like, trying to talk to everybody and see who Quad can share a room with, because I guess they don't have the room. They can't get another one or something, I guess. So Quad inevitably has to share a room, and everybody's not trying to share a room. The shade, I don't really think there's shade in that towards Quad. I think it's because they're just grown ass women. But it was weird, like when Quad finally showed up, and honestly, my energy changed. I don't know how y'all feel, but when Quad pumped in with that green sweatsuit on, that lime green, the episode got better for me. I was a little bit more excited because I was kind of bored. But Toya makes it a point, like as soon as Quad has put her left butt cheek and hasn't even leaned to center her weight on the couch, Toya's like, "Well, girl, you know, I hadn't gotten you a room, and I was trying to get you a room, and nobody wanted to room with you." Trying to get Quad to react. Hello? Are we paying attention? And Quad does not give it to her yet again. She's like, well, girl, it's fine. Like, you know, I have my own money. Very calm tone. Have my own money. I can go get my own room. I don't want to make anybody, you know, uncomfortable. And she said it 17 times. And then they're like, oh, no, well, things are fine. Like, you know, we got you a room now. She's like, girl, are you sure? Because I can get my own room. And they're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. So, of course, because she didn't get the reaction she wanted up out of Quad, Toya's upset. And again, she can't ride alone. She needed Simone to jump in. But Simone was all like, and Simone's laughing once Quad left, and she's like, well, girl, I told you that Quad was gonna come with big energy. And Toya's like, but girl, you matched that energy. Like, it's weird because y'all talk mess behind Quad's back, but then y'all want to kiki and cackle with her in person. And it's like, Toya, you're so pressed. Like, you need to get over it. Again, Simone, who I'm gonna have to assume is trying. She's trying. It seems like she's trying to push the narrative forward with the whole Quad thing and not necessarily do the ice out. But she's like, girl, I'm going to be cordial regardless. And at the end of the day, we don't want to put Quad in a position because she is sensitive, just like you. It's being shown, Toya. You're reacting right now in your feelings. Y'all do the same things. But Quad, we don't want to put her on the defense. We want her to be able to be open so we can have a productive conversation and move forward. So I appreciated that from Simone. So Phaedra shows up even later than Quad. And I'm like, ugh, it got a little bit better again. Like, maybe that's why we were bored. I don't know. But Toya clocks the tea that Phaedra changed her flight so she didn't have to come in with Quad and make it look like, you know, she kept bringing Quad around because I guess Phaedra had called Toya like 2 days before or something like that, and she apologized and she was like, you know, I don't want you to think that I keep bringing this girl around, because obviously we talked about how, you know, Phaedra was disappointed after the funeral thing where Quad didn't hold herself accountable. So I think Phaedra at this point is trying to do damage control and just be on the right side of the group because she's barely even supposed to be there while they're trying to ice out Quad. We get the dinner, and I think this was a really good dinner. You know, the ladies show up. As soon as the Quad sits down, you know, she opens it up, and she's like, you know, Toya, no matter what, you know, I'm really proud of you. Obviously, this is Toya's event. So she's like, I'm really proud of you. I'm happy to be here. Like, you know, you're doing amazing, sweetie. Good for you. Toya, of course, still in her feelings, probably from 3 years ago. She probably has not moved from any of those feelings against Quad for 3 years because she loves that. She's just like, well, I mean, I guess. So I like that Simone, because I think Simone saw it was about to be the battle of the emotions. And Simone's like, well, you know, look, the real elephant in the room, because this ain't about Toya. Please get it away from Toya. The real elephant in the room is your status with the group. And then she says, especially with the OGs. So again, that made me uncomfortable because it made me think back to the core 4 argument. And it's like, what you mean the OGs? Like, now she's sitting here in a boardroom in front of y'all to like beg for her spot on the show. Like, that to me was just very cornball. But even still, Quad was playing that cornball. Like, she was still saying like, okay, girl, heard you. I'm trying to move forward. I'm trying to be a part of the group. Like, I'm trying to let's see what we can do. And they're still, it's just like they're always looking for a specific response from Quad. We know this is gaslighting 101. We know that Quad traditionally reacts emotionally. Step 2, let's do things to trigger Quad to act emotionally in order to strengthen our bias against Quad that, oh, she's emotional, she's the problem. Let's gaslight her into creating her own problem in this group. Step 3, Quad doesn't react emotionally. What do? Now Quad doesn't look like the issue. We look like the issue. We're painting issues that Quad is not substantiating right now. What do? Step 4, poke more. And Quad, as she said 110 times, outlines for her, and she even takes the accountability first, what they've been asking for. They completely glossed over. She says, I could have done things better. There it is. We heard it. And then she says, but to be honest with you, I just haven't felt like I had a safe space in this group. She said that so many times. And immediately, Simone's on the defense, not even trying to hear her, yelling and hollering, trying to make further points. And Quad keeps bringing it back to center. She's like, I'm just trying to explain to you, I don't feel safe in this group, as if I have a safe space to be open and be vulnerable with y'all. So I retreat. All of the information is there. It is an open book test. And still we have Toya in her confessional like, Quad's not owning up to stuff. She's giving you the recipe on TikTok, outlining it, detailing each and every ingredient you need, showing you how to cook it, giving you the audio behind it. Like, what is not clear? What do you want the woman to say? And Simone asked what I don't think it's a bad question. It's a good question, but it comes off to me as a question that Simone already knew the answer to, but I'm going to give her credit and say that she was trying to have a productive conversation. So she asked Quad, well, if you don't feel safe in this group and support it, why do you continue to be in the group? And I was a little stumped myself. I said, what is Quad going to say? My assumption was that she would say, girl, because I understand the formula. We kiki and we cackle, and sometimes things go a little bit too far and we get in our feelings, but we're here to work. And I'm trying to show up to work. I feel like that's what Quad's trying to do. I feel like Quad is recognizing I get in my feelings. Y'all don't give a damn about my feelings. So I retreat and I take care of myself elsewhere, because y'all ain't going to take care of me here. But I'm still showing up to do my job. And that's still not enough for y'all. But I'll try to make it work. That's obvious to me. That ain't lost on me. But what Quad says, I guess, maybe in an attempt not to break the fourth wall, because I feel like what I would say would break the fourth wall. She just said it's a second chance on both sides, which is also an excellent point, because keep your foot on their neck, Quad, because y'all both do it. Even with the other ladies, we saw what happened with Heavenly. Why y'all think Contessa gone? Contessa got very deep and lost in her emotions based off stuff that Heavenly was talking about on her social media. All the ladies were in their feelings last season about stuff that Heavenly was talking about on social media. And Heavenly's response was, I'm working. I don't see what the big deal is. We literally deal with this same exact issue and principle around the table. And Quad is being made the issue because she doesn't have this crutch on the group where it's like, well, I need y'all. Like, I need y'all to care. And, oh, my God, I have to hang around y'all and be a part of the group. I don't. When it's time to clock in, I'm going to clock in. I'm going to work. When we're off work, I'm going to go to Africa with somebody else. Because y'all don't rock with me like that. And y'all don't even rock with each other like that. So what is the issue? And I like that Quad goes further to explain to them, look, I don't have an emotional attachment to this group. And I feel like that hit them to the core because, again, they want to be Quad's friend, but they not being friends themselves. But she's like, girl, I don't have an emotional attachment to y'all. So no, like when we're not working, I'm not going to be reaching out to y'all and trying to cackle because ain't funny. Like we're not homegirls. And so when things happen in the group and I don't feel like I have a support system here, I retreat. It makes sense. She's literally taking the ownership to say, but I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm trying to be present, I'm trying to move forward, and y'all, that's just not good enough for y'all for some reason. But that's what y'all are asking for, but it's still not good enough. The Heavenly lost like 1,000 points from me on this. Like, it was just so weak energy of her. She's so affected. As a friend, she's hurt, I understand. She's so affected by the fact that Phaedra and Quad came on the show together. She's affected by that. Like, they kind of came in as a storyline. That's kind of how it felt. Like, they were liaisons to each other, to the group. But the one with the real ties to the group is really Quad. But Phaedra's upset. But Heavenly feels some type of way about that because Quad is her friend. Quad's her sister. So I guess she feels like Quad should have came back in the group by way of her. But I think Heavenly needs to realize you are actual friends, or you cackle and kiki more with Jackie and Simone and them, and I don't. That's not really Quad's place. So it's like, girl, you rock with them. Maybe she didn't necessarily want to be involved with that because Heavenly, you're not that easy to depend on. At the end of the day, you cool and you keep it, straight up, but you working. You've admitted that, so I don't really want to get close to you like that. And at the same time, y'all were getting super close with Dr. G and Sweet Tea, and that's weird. Like, that's not a friendly thing to do. Like, to me, that's giving work. They want to bring this on because this is good TV at my expense, but y'all want me to text you like, hey girl, how are the kids? Girl, what? Like, I feel like Quad is like, girl, at least I'm here. Like, I'm trying. Jackie ain't said nothing all dinner. She don't even bring nothing. She just here to be here. And she ain't nobody's friend. Ain't nobody on her back. But yeah, back to Heavenly. I thought it was very weak that she, in her jealousy, brings up the point that Quad has talked mess about Phaedra, just basically trying to create a ridge between them and create weirdness. And she talks about, how Phaedra changed her flight because Phaedra done told everybody in the group that she don't really want to be affiliated with bringing Quad back around because, again, Phaedra's trying to save face and keep her spot on this show, which is hanging by a thread because she has no reason to be there. They still won't explain that. Clock that T. And she basically, Heavenly puts together, Phaedra had that conversation with all of us. So then right after I had that conversation, Quad comes calling me for the first time out of nowhere, talking about, hey, girl. So I guess Heavenly felt like Quad was using her to get back on the show because the Phaedra thing didn't work. And Quad don't need nobody to get on this show. I will say, like, Heavenly's whole, and I've said this, like when Heavenly was talking about bringing Sweet Tea on and it will make Quad more of an asset to the show, make her more appealing, make the storyline be there. That's fair. That makes sense. But Quad does not need anybody to bring her to the show. Quad brings so much to that show. Come on now. Like, they are good players on that show. Again, I'm going to say it again. I love me some Dr. Heavenly. But I'm struggling with the word need, but they benefit quite well from having Quad on that show. And so I think it's a reach to say that Quad was using anybody as a way to get back on the show. Y'all needed her. If she was not here, what would we be doing right now? Are y'all realizing that? Like, what would we be doing? And to Quad's point, like, Quad is like, I didn't even know that Phaedra had called y'all and was talking mess about me and saying she didn't want to bring me around anymore. So why would I have to then call you to make my way into the group, like, facilitate that if I didn't even know me and Phaedra had an issue? Like, hello, that doesn't even make any sense. And Jackie, who's sitting there quiet, gets thrown in and catching an L from Heavenly. Heavenly's like, even Jackie said that you were using me. And Jackie's like, and it's like, but Jackie ain't gonna speak up and say that to your face. Like, why do Jackie be so scary? So yeah, I just thought that was weird that Heavenly, it just felt like Heavenly was trying to break off Quad's access, right? Like Heavenly was seeing the group and she's like, well, the core four don't mess with Quad and Quad's only lifeline potentially would be Phaedra, so let me throw a wrench in there as well. That was just weird and very schoolgirlish and just childish to me, especially from the main person that's always like, it's work, we're working, it's work, we're working, we're doing a job, we're trying to make a good show. This is not a good show where y'all are trying to ice out Quad because y'all are in your feelings that she don't want to be besties with y'all, because that's what's happening. And it's just weird. And I don't love it. And even Quad was owning up to what she said about Phaedra. All of y'all have been talking cash shit about Phaedra since she got here. We've been talking cash shit about Phaedra. Phaedra is a read. So nothing that Quad said is an issue at the end of the day. So it's just very weird behavior. Especially because Phaedra don't really have much relevance on the show without Quad. So for her to turn against Quad is weird. So I didn't love it. I didn't love it. This episode was giving me toxicity of Housewives when you start to see like the inner workings of the bullshit. And so I don't know what's going on with this season. I'm going to go watch the live that I guess Heavenly did on Instagram and see if she does a review with Carlos King. Because I want there to be some type of, and again, I love Heavenly, but I want there to be some type of, hey, Heavenly, do you think maybe you were in your feelings a bit? Maybe being a bit weird? I'd like to have that conversation. Let's see what happens in the next one.